horror fans, HHN 365, a Halloween Horror Nights podcast. My name is Duff, and as always, I'm here with my co-host Jess.
Everything still hurts, and it's week
Everything
4.
still hurts, and it will continue to hurt until October 30. Well, it'll still hurt.
No,
It'll
November.
hurt like November 8th or something. It'll still be painful, to be honest.
And then your heart hurts.
Oh, my heart always hurts, but that's a medical condition. We don't worry about that. Hey, what's up? How's it going? Follow us on social media at HHN365. That's Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And on TikTok at HHN365pod. We have merchandise at HHN365.bigcartel.com. We got some great items, including Pumpkin Lord, Vanity Ball, some Carrie Drive-In, good stuff. And then leave us a voicemail so you can join us here on the show at 407-906-4134. And on today's show, first of all, we do have the first Stay Screamcast of the season on HHN 365. That, of course, is our collaboration with the Catacombs of Halloween Horror Nights. So that goes back and forth every week, except week 2, which we missed because I was dying. But you'll hear that on the second part of this show. But first, we're going to talk a little bit about HHN 31, and we're also going to talk about Media Night at Sir Henry's, which is, I think in both of our opinions, Jess, correct me if I'm wrong, the best local/indie haunt there is.
Oh, I would agree 100%.
And this year it even upped it, and we'll go over that.
Oh.
But before we get to Sir Henry's, we're going to talk a bit about HHN 31 and how we feel about, 4 weeks in about here, right? Where we're at this point. In fact, tonight is the last night of week 4. We're going to be going chilling there later. But I feel pretty comfortable. I don't know if comfortable is the word, but I feel somewhat okay about the rankings I have right now.
Yeah,
same. It's painful, but I feel okay about it.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Has there been any changes since week 3? I don't really think anything of a note has changed.
We did miss a change last week, and that was what is the kid's name in Blumhouse that you pointed out that I forgot to talk about?
Oh, we didn't bring it up last year. Yeah. So in the first basement scene, you have why can't I think of his name now?
The kid.
Whatever. The kid, the main kid in black.
It's an actor.
There's a scare actor there in the first basement scene, actually there using. He just kind of goes around. He tries to answer the phone. It's not working. The whole point of the movie. And he's basically a distraction for the grabber scare on the right. That's always been there. Yeah. So, but that was a fantastic addition. And when I saw it last week, I was like, holy shit. That's great. Love it.
Yeah. Other than that, I don't think there's anything. Oh, I heard there were new characters in Graveyard, but I have been a bad Graveyard stan and have not been there all weekend.
Yeah,
so
we talked about this. We have an issue where we usually see Graveyard earlier during the day, and we basically wrap around the park the opposite direction. So at night, we just kind of walk past it from afar.
Yeah, we're gonna fix that tonight, I think.
Tonight we'll change that. Sorry, that'll be it'll be 2 weeks from now episode, actually.
Because we're going to California!
We're going to California! You'll hear Mike, actually, next week, who's not here tonight, unfortunately. But you will hear from him next week, but not me and Jess. So it'll be a complete flip-flop of 365 hosts.
But it's an exciting one. So.
But yeah, 2 weeks. I promise we will go through Graveyard at night and see what that change is like. But I feel like we should just jump right into what we're going to talk about here as far as HHN 31 goes and kind of updated rankings of the houses. First, do you have an update to your zones at all or no?
No, because the only one I feel like I've actually spent time in, that's a lie. The only 2 I've spent time in are Conjure the Dark and Sweets. And, I've spent time in Graveyard, but not recently. And Scarecrow, I just kind of blow through. And same with Horrors of Halloween. So I need more time.
Yeah. I've been spending more time in the zones, but still not as much as I want. So I'm not going to, again, in 2 weeks from now, we will talk about zones and HHN 31 once we get through some other stuff that we have discussed next week. But we'll go into the houses then. And I think we're just going to give our whole list, starting with 10, I guess. And Jess, what's your number 10?
It is the same from week 3. We didn't talk about it last week, but it's Hellblock. And I don't think that was ever my 10 before. It was not. So, things have changed, and I think staffing is a big issue in that house still. So, well, I mean, on top
Yeah,
of the other issues.
yeah. So actually, Hellblock's my number 10, and also, Jess, this is the first time I've actually had it at my number 10 as well.
Oh, I didn't realize.
It started at number 9, so it's not like a huge drop or anything. But yeah, and the funny thing is that they've made probably the most changes to this house, and to be fair, the biggest upgrades. But I think the ethos and what the house really is has not updated.
Hmm.
And I've just had really good runs through some other stuff, so it's kind of fallen to 10.
Yeah, it sucks, but the more time I spend in there too, the the goofier the creatures seem to look because they did change a
Mm,
lot of those mask designs from like where we've seen the creatures before. So
mm,
I don't know. Just not my favorite. It still has a chance to move, but it's still
yeah,
10 right now.
I think at this point though I can say like it's not bad. So we're at
No.
the level where this year does not have a bad house. I think they've picked it enough to where the point where there's a level of intensity that kind of saves it. So it's could be worse.
Wait, let me ask you a question. I know that we have express mindset, but
uh,
if you did not have express, what's the most you would wait for Hellblock as your number 10?
15 minutes, 20
Oh, okay.
minutes, maybe.
Okay. I was gonna say 30 at the most, so not too far off. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I don't see a scenario where having already done it, I'd want to wait 30 minutes for Outlook.
yeah. But if you haven't done it, you definitely should do it because I mean, prison is always gonna be scary. It's gonna be a scary haunted house. So try it out.
Yeah, and it has picked up since week 1, the last time we actually did full rankings. So for
There you
sure,
go.
like it's strobier, it's darker, it's more intense. So like, if you are someone who like goes to HHN simply for scares, this might be like closer to 5 for you.
Mm-hmm.
As someone who doesn't only go to HHN purely for scares and intensity, it is definitely not.
For sure.
But what's your number 9?
Number 9 is my same number 9 that it was last week again. It's Fiesta de Chupacabra. Still have not had a good run. I don't know what's wrong with
Mm,
me. I
mm.
don't know what it is. Duff, you've gone through the house with me multiple times now. I just don't get good runs.
Well, last time I feel like it was a decent run until nothing to do with the house itself happened, which we don't need to talk about on
Are you
this
talking
show.
about the ops issue?
The opposite, yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, it's not even, that wasn't even part of my consideration. Yeah,
Oh,
no.
okay, okay.
No, no,
I thought
no.
that was a decent run otherwise, to be fair. For me, at least.
Yeah, again, they've all been decent, but I've had amazing runs through the other 8 houses.
It's fair.
Actually, the other 9, I've had fantastic runs through Hellblock. So I don't know. I love the sets. I love the sound design. I love the masks. I
Mm,
love that is it Rosalie or Rosalia? I think it's Rosalia. She now has like a chupacabra mask in her hand as well.
mm.
That's like a minor change. I love all that. It's just not hitting for me, which sucks.
That's fair. I feel like it is one of those houses, though, where it just could suddenly hit and make a huge jump. Will it
Yeah.
happen? To be seen. But I can see it happening.
What's weird is also like that center scene, like the city center.
Mm.
Sometimes I've gone in there and there's no actors until that last one. Sometimes I've gone in there and there's been 3. And I wish that it was consistently the 3 because that might have been the best run I've ever had. Was
Mm.
like being, ping pong through that room and it wasn't scary, but they were all telling their own story. So,
Yeah, I see what you mean. For sure, for sure.
what's your number
Well,
9?
my number 9 is moving up from number 10 from my original rankings, and that's Halloween. To be completely honest, I've had some really good runs. I think if you're going for pure scare factor, that it is maybe top 3 this year from the runs I've been having, and
Mhm.
honestly, from what I've been hearing from people who've gone like just a couple times or one night, like it's kind of fucking people up. But at the end
Yeah.
of the day, it's a situation where it's the same exact movie where I've seen a much better representation. I think the cold open is a very weak start. while I think there's some fun to be had, there's only a few notable scenes for me. Otherwise, it's just I go through, I enjoy it, but it's nothing special.
That's fair. I'm not ready to talk about Halloween yet, believe it or not.
Oh no, I definitely thought that was your number 8, but okay.
That's actually, I think that might be the biggest shock of my list so far.
Oh.
Um, so my number 8 is Spirits of the Coven. Uh, it's still,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. Uh, I don't, I'll get there. But Coven, it's better than it was when we started. I think I only went through it once this week, so that's kind of my fault, which is kind of why it fell. I just by the time I get to Coven, I'm so tired, and I normally just go home because we tend to start in the back or like start with Dead Man's Pier and then go to the back.
Mm,
So I just need to do more runs through it. I love the story. I love that it's all, male victims, right on. We love feminism in a house. I just need to spend more time with the witches.
yeah, I think that's fair. To be honest, I don't know how much they'll change it though.
Oh no, they
We've
won't.
because we've talked off mic obviously about our issues and our experiences, and we've probably gone through it together more times than we haven't. So, um, it's also my number 8 actually. So
Okay, fair.
yeah, let's rip the band-aid off there. Obviously, I didn't have it as high as your mic on the spec list to the point where it's like, oh no, it's this low. But
Yeah.
it's still a lot lower than I had it on my hype list. Like I wanted it to be a lot higher, and I had it lower, thinking it would end up higher. I did. There were like when we made our hype list, I thought there was no chance this would be lower than I had it on my hype list. I thought this would be a riser.
Yeah.
The fact that it's at 8 is like shocking, and they've made changes that have helped the house.
Hmm.
But the problem is you can't fix what the house is, and I think that's hitting halfway through and it going, oh, it's a new house, and it's not a great house anymore.
That's fair. And my issue is also like the more I go through it, the more I realize that this did not need a soundstage.
Mm,
Like what was the reasoning behind the location choice for this one when this easily could have gone in a
yeah,
smaller venue? None of
if
the
you're,
sets are like, oh my god.
and the thing is, if you're looking scene by scene, like I feel like there's houses where you go, okay, it didn't need a soundstage or a parade or a house or whatever it may be, but it had a scene or two where it used that.
Right.
There's not a single scene that they could not have just put this in a fucking tent and called it a day.
Yeah, the facade, which is great, could have been a tent facade. It could
Mhm.
Descendants honestly has
Oh,
a more detailed
I've
facade.
seen more scales in, or at like a larger scale. I'm sorry, in two of the three tents that exist this year.
Yeah. The one scene in
Like,
Descendants with the subway car is bigger than any set in
oh,
Coven.
what? And like, not even close.
Yeah.
Like,
And
not
in
even
tent,
close.
like obviously,
There are scenes in Bug that feel bigger than that still.
yeah. Again, and it's not knocking anyone in the cast. Like you can't fix the thing that's already built.
Mm,
Changes are going to be, whether it be something scenic, it's not going to be major. It'll be more set dressing or costume or like we heard the sound design completely changed in this house.
yeah, and I
So,
think like the thing is like especially like the first half of the house we've talked about. I love. I think if you have the first half of the house and kind of continue exactly what that is and carry it on, this is way
mhm.
higher. Um, And I think even if you go into the second half of the house, there's that scene right after the ruins where they have the uh, Scary Tales Deadly After set exactly
Hmm.
as it was.
The
The scene
Rapunzel,
right
or
after
no,
that,
the Hansel and Gretel, excuse me.
I think that is one of the most standout scare actor scenes there are.
Oh yeah,
I
like the
think they
High
absolutely
Priestess.
kill it. Yeah, they absolutely kill it. All three that are in that room, great, love it. But that half of the house is just no. I'm sorry, it does not work for me.
I almost wish that would have been like the jaw-dropping set, and it would have been up a little higher or something. Like
Yeah.
I don't
And
know.
again, this is something we talked about off mic. I feel like at that point, those two rooms right there should have been the main climax. They should have been opened up and been big and like blew you away. And instead, they kept it small and tight and claustrophobic.
Yeah.
And it's like, so why are you here? Why is this your location? What's the point?
I understand that, like, oh, we're in the caverns and they're trying to make it tight for that reason, but like, no, because that feels grand. I don't know how to describe. It feels like they were trying to make a very grand set with that high priestess scene, and then it just kind of they reused the Hansel and Gretel scene, literally like step for step, even with the boo holes. So it was smaller, which that wasn't a small house. That was another soundstage house, but that wasn't the grand scene. It wasn't the castle with the witch flying. Like,
Yeah. Anyways,
okay,
we
moving
don't need
on.
to harp on this anymore.
All right, Kevin.
What's your number 7?
My 7 is Halloween,
Hmm.
which is the highest it's ever been on my list. And
Who knows? Maybe you'll finish at like 6 on your list at the end of the year.
I really don't see that happening. I feel like I'm being really nice, but I've also had some really good runs through this house finally. I can't mock Michael anymore. That motherfucker comes at me every time I walk in. But yeah, no, I think it's hitting. I do think the cold open still is horror blue balls, and I'm gonna say that till I die. Because you're expecting the house. I know we have the reveal later on. I'm not getting into that again. But this house has risen. I feel like the scare actors are being a lot more aggressive. I still cannot walk through that final mirror room and not scream. So for that, it just keeps rising. And scares don't always make the house for me, but sometimes it's gonna jump up because of that.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, I think the thing is they did make it pretty intense. And again, depending who you are, that could shoot it way up, or that could not matter at all, and that's why it's my number 9 again.
Yeah.
But yeah. So my number 7 is The Horrors of Blumhouse, which I feel like I want to put higher. To be honest, I really do, but I can't. I think Black Phone intensity is it's what it's all about, right? The scenes aren't super impressive. The sets aren't super impressive. They just it's going for scares, but to like a level that I'm like, oh wow, like it's so intense that I have to give it a lot of credit, right? Freaky still, as much as I want to like it, like I think again coming into it, I thought Freaky would be the better fit for a house. I feel like they skimped on scenes and they skipped stuff that should have been there, and that just kind of drags it down all the way to 7 for me. Because if they would have had the intensity of Black Phone, and then what I think Freaky could have been, it would be top 5 for sure.
Yeah, makes sense. I'm not ready to talk about Blumhouse either, surprisingly.
Oh, yeah, that is surprising.
So this is the one that fell. The next one is the one that fell the most for me. Well, not even the most. It fell 1, but it's lower than I ever thought it was going to be, and it's Bug House.
Ooh.
I really think that the changes to more victims has kind of been its downfall for me, and I know that there's one cast that has the bugs still, or majority bugs, and the other one is majority victims now. I've caught both, but I seem to catch the other one a little bit more, the one without the bugs. And it's still campy, it's still fun, but I really like those bug costumes. So not seeing them kind of disappoints me. So it fell 1 spot for
I
me.
mean, it's fair. Definitely not where I have it, but I understand your reasoning at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
I don't agree with it whatsoever, though. That you're crazy. But my number 6 is something I actually do expect to go higher. I think I've said that week 1 too. Yet here we are again. Fiesta de Chupacabras. I kind of for the same reason you have. Like, I've had a couple good runs, but the majority have still not been great. It's been light on scare actors. I feel like timing's been an issue. But if it more consistently puts it all together, it's definitely top 5, probably top 4. I'm just waiting for that to happen because I love so much of what the house does and tries to do. It just doesn't happen enough. That's really it. I don't have any negatives really to point out other than that. Then the runs have not been great.
Yeah, that's my biggest complaint. Everything else, like formula wise, that house should be like in my top 3. But
yeah, absolutely.
It's just runs.
It's kind of upsetting almost to me that it's not in my top 3 or 4.
A little bit, yeah.
Because like everything about it feels like something I should love, and it's not hitting it enough for me to be up there. If it starts to, again, we're almost to that point. We're gonna get a pretty nice influx of scare actors.
Oh, that's true.
So that can really get it to jump if it helps it. We'll see, but It's just not consistent enough at all.
Yeah. A lot of it comes from behind too, whenever I do run the house for me.
Yeah, well, I haven't had that, but I saw you have that.
Yeah. Five, right?
Yep.
My five is Horrors of Blumhouse. And I
Mm,
just think that, we say that we don't like, good or bad runs can make it. I feel like Blumhouse has been really consistent since week one. There was a little bit there where Freaky, I feel like, wasn't having the amount of actors that it should have had, but it seems to have fixed itself, at least when I've been in there. But Freaky's fun, and then the Black Phone I think makes up for it. But the Black Phone feels like a whole house to me. So I can kind of forgive the Freaky part for the things that it does miss.
mm.
But those actors are just killing it. The grabbers, every time they jump out, I'm screaming like without fail, even if I know they're there.
Yeah, no, I feel that it has been pretty consistent for the most part, so I completely
Which
get that.
we normally don't get from Blumhouse, like at all.
Yeah, that's definitely true. So my number five, I'm actually about to do this on the fly
Oh,
because I still haven't fully decided, and literally my list has them both at five, and there's no four. Um, Descendants of Destruction will be number five,
okay.
and I don't have much negative. I think it's just kind of I think a lot of people enjoy the Mad Max vibes, and that's the only thing that slightly drags it down for me. I love post-apocalyptic; that's my thing. I
Hmm.
think there's some sets that are absolutely mind blowing. I think once you hit the bioluminescent scene, it just gets super intense and fun. Um, it's just everything tying together doesn't fully hit it for me, but I really enjoy it. And number five this year is not a bad thing. It's a good
Not
house.
at all.
It's just it doesn't fully die together like the four above it will.
It's funny because that's my number four, is Descendants, which it's fallen because it was, I think, my number. Yeah, it was consistently my number three until this past week. And again, it's not like you said. It's not because it was bad. I have nothing negative to
Mm-hmm.
say. Um, it's just that my top three are like really top three.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're not moving. They've been my top three just in different orders at this point, but I feel like they're really like solidified now.
Yeah, no, I think no. It's different for me. We'll get to that though.
Okay, what's your number four?
My number four is actually Bugs Eaten Alive,
Okay.
which has dropped actually from I think number two from opening weekend and even last week. It's just inconsistencies have hit it. You know, we started to get stuff back that we were missing. I feel like there's a lot of the like human size bug scare actors that were missing for a while, and that kind of made it drop. We've been getting it back, but not to the point where I can fully bring it back up yet. Once it's a more consistent thing, and I get the runs like I did opening weekend, yeah, I think I could get back to number two even. But for now, it's just gonna sit at four, and it's all inconsistencies. Like
Hmm.
that's it. That's all.
That's why it's my number six. It was hitting. It was hitting when others were not on opening weekend.
Yeah, agreed.
So my number three actually has gone up a spot since last weekend. And it is The Weekend,
Mm-hmm.
After Hours Nightmare. And I just think that the music change was shocking at first for me. I've said it. I liked it. I didn't like it. I'm back to enjoying it because the more I go through it, more songs are always good than the three. I probably would have gotten sick of the three at this point. But we only had that for a week, so we'll never know. But I think that this one is also more consistent. I'm getting the like Toad characters almost every time I go through, at least two of them now. Still not getting that Stilt Boy, which we'll talk about it later. You'll hear all my thoughts. But yeah, I just think The Weekend is a really fucking good house.
Yeah, it's my number three too, actually.
Okay.
And to be honest, it could be number four if Bugs was more consistent.
Mm,
But Bugs hasn't been, so here it is, still number three. Because I haven't fully enjoyed the changes of the music that they're
mm,
playing. I think "Die for You" as the opening scene is growing on me. I think it fits well. The way they use "Sacrifice" when you can hear it because you can barely hear it still, and "Take My Breath" just don't work as well. to be honest, and I prefer a more options that you hear, right? Like I think that's great,
Mhm.
but I don't think they fit as well. And I think there's something to be said that the lyrics fit, and they chose those lyrics specifically in these rooms to make it work. But that's not as important in such a small walkthrough section as the actual song and the instrumentals are. And I feel like that's where it's lacking. Of course, I still say it at number three. I think it's great. I love it. I think the vibes throughout the house are a lot of fun. I think it's stayed pretty consistent for the most part. Um, I just at this point I don't even know what can really up it. Like I feel like it's kind of stuck here as long as it
Yeah.
stays consistent because you kind of brought it down a little bit with the music changes.
Yeah. I don't think it's ever gonna go past 3 for me now.
Hmm.
Because I really loved it after opening weekend. It was my number one. I do think I would have gotten sick of the same 3 songs even if they were great. But yeah, I don't see it passing my top 2 ever.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't. It would have to change, like change, and that's
Abel would
obviously
have
not
to
going to
be
happen.
in the fucking house licking a toad and then passing me a joint for me to ever put this past my 2-in-1.
No, fair. That's completely fair.
Is that dramatic?
No, it's not dramatic. That's
Okay.
that's the truth.
All right.
What is your number two though?
My number 2, and I almost put this number 1. And if we'll get there. Legends Collide. This house is just it. I've not had a bad run in this house, and that is like the highest compliment I feel like I
Hmm.
can give it. Beyond like it's just so good. It's scary, scenically, it's beautiful. I found the usher's flashlight in there the other night.
Hmm.
If it's in there, if you haven't found it, and they didn't point that out on our tour,
They did not.
so it's in
That was
there.
all you. That was all
That
you.
that was me. And then I started screaming right after that. But it's just so good, and it's aggressive, and it, I love the monsters. I love all of them, but I was not expecting this to be my number 2 ever. I thought this was going to be, like 5 maybe, peak at 5 for me. So the fact that consistently this has been in my I think top 3, or no, it was my 4th coming out of opening weekend, but now it's been my second. Is just good job, monsters.
Well, Jess, I guess we have the same top two because my number two is Legends Collide.
We had the same
It,
top 3.
it is. Oh shit, we did. Jesus. It's been hitting so well, and
Mhm.
it's ramped up the intensity. Um, I like. I mean, it hasn't really moved much. It moved up one spot. So outside of consistency and intensity ramping up, nothing has changed. The sets are great. I love
Mhm.
the concept. The story's fun. And now they're colliding more. So that's why it's two now.
They're all here.
They're all here.
Mary was not looking, and I had 3 monsters around me. It was 3 monsters and a baby finally, guys.
It happened. It finally happened.
I was the biggest baby. I can't
Well,
wait to do that again tonight.
you've been a bigger baby, and we'll get to that in our next section of the episode.
Shut the fuck up.
What's our number one, Jess?
Dead Man's Pier,
Dead
Winter's
Man's Pier.
Wake. That's
So
not a. That wasn't doing an accent like for the Northeast. Sorry.
I
No, that was
so
just a voice.
that hasn't changed for me. I have
No,
nothing else to say. So tell me why that is your number one.
because it's been my number 1 since week 2.
Well, they didn't know that because we
I
didn't
know
do
we
it in
didn't
our
talk
rankings.
about it. This house is just it's so good. It's kind of like Graveyard Games goes in the water, I guess.
Mhm. Okay,
For
yeah,
me.
yeah.
Like it's not the same, but like the way it hit, and I wasn't like I knew I was gonna like Graveyard Games in 29 because Graveyard, but I wasn't expecting it to be like it's kind of like if the Haunted Mansion Graveyard was a house for me, and that's kind of what this is, just on the water. I do wish that we would have gotten the water in that little boat scene, but I'll get over it. But other than that, like this house never doesn't hit ever, and it never. I don't think it ever can't not hit. Duff talk.
Oh, I mean, everything I said week one is the same. Like, I
Yeah,
think the sets are immaculate, and it could be missing scares, and I don't give a shit because the
yeah, no,
characters you do see, the lighting, like the black light effects they use, are amazing. Like paired with the sets, it's just, um, and the immersiveness of like the rain and the cold,
Oh, it's
and
so
in
good.
certain scenes how they make you fully feel it suddenly out of nowhere. It's insane. It's just absolutely insane.
Yeah, and I mean, you saw it, that fucking bitch at the end. It's always scary. It's always scary. The swimming guy at the end, no matter what, will always stop in his tracks and come and say hi. And I will scream and run out of the house, pushing people out of my way.
They truly do. They
Yeah.
truly do.
If you want an experience, come through with me. And I just re-dyed my hair, Duff, so tonight is going to be
Yeah. I
neon.
mean, that's our thought is that her hair also glows, so that's why she gets picked on.
Yeah, and same in Descendants. At the last third of Descendants, I just start running because they all just start popping out, and I can't avoid them. So yeah, whoo, black lighthouses.
Ooh. Well, there it is. That's our updated week 4 rankings. We still have a whole nother month. We only have a fucking month left, Jess. Jesus
Jesus.
Christ. A whole month left to go. Yeah.
And California to
Um,
compare it to, and
California is
Knott's coming up, and
yeah,
oof.
yeah, that's coming.
But speaking
Coming.
of other haunts,
There's other hunts. What?
there's other haunts. Didn't we go to another haunt
We
just
did. We did.
down I-4?
I'm super excited about it because it is my favorite local hunt. It's a great indie hunt. That's Sir Henry's Haunted Trail down there in Plant City, just about an hour out of Orlando. So it's worth the trek down I-4. And
Okay.
we were lucky enough to be invited to their media night and experience all their trails. They have 3 trails, and they were trails that I already thought were great, and they have upped literally all of them.
Oh, they're different. They're all different trails.
Mm,
Even
yep.
if the bones are similar, they are
Hmm.
completely different. And
Yep.
for the better, which
Yeah.
they're already fantastic.
The thing is, like, there's one that is basically what it was with additions, but
Yeah.
2 are like fully, completely different concepts. So I guess let's start with. I guess we'll start with everything they have outside. We'll get to the trails last. How about that? We'll start with everything else they have there, right?
Sounds good.
So they have 2 escape rooms, which is a cool concept. I think they're both 3 minutes,
Hmm.
so they're kind of shorter format. But just the fact that they have that available to you is a really fun concept that you can go do escape rooms at a haunt, in a more kind of horror atmosphere. Because there are some escape rooms you can go to that have that kind of scare factor, but like that's what these are. That's what they're built around. So something you could take advantage of. They have laser tag,
Hmm.
which is that's a really fucking cool concept, right?
Yeah.
They have axe throwing, which to be fair is not real axes because I don't want real axes around me like in that small area anyways. So
I
good on them
really
for
don't.
not bringing real axes. Thank you.
I personally don't need any weapons.
Yeah, thank you for
So
that. But all this is just basically within a courtyard where you have food and drink options as well. They have walk around scare actors. They have a whole like set built where it's kind of almost a meet and greety. Sir
yeah.
Henry himself is there, so
There was a whole horse with a headless horseman on it walking around.
there's a whole ass horse walking
There's
around.
a whole ass horse. There will be a video on Twitter. It'll definitely be on TikTok or somewhere, but a whole ass horse. Like think Disney's like Mickey's Not So Scary parade or Boo to You parade, whatever. Headless horseman walking around,
Hmm.
just
Hmm.
trotting. And he
And
was
this,
around a lot.
think about this. This is all like a local hunt. So this is before you even get to the trails. The 3 trails they have, all this shit
Yeah.
is available to you, which
Yeah.
is insane because you don't get that at local hunts typically.
No, like sometimes you'll get characters out front. Like I was telling you I did 13th floor with Hunter,
Hmm.
I think in like 2020, and they had characters out front and like they had an axe throwing place that the house exited into.
Hmm.
So similar, but we like it wasn't an atmospheric thing. It was in like a strip mall.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you're getting like that like fall feel.
This is on their property. It is once you are there, it is Sir Henry's, and that's it. Done.
Yeah.
End of the deal. Um, they have merch that's available to you. They have their own cider that they pair with Keeley Farms, which, if you don't know, is a cider and brewery down in Plant City as well. So they have their own Sir Henry cider available that you can bring home.
Can't drink it on the premises.
Cannot drink on premises.
Yeah.
Um,
It is a dry event if you're curious.
yeah,
Um,
they do have a whole backstory in a book. Like you can
mhm,
buy Sir Henry's book. I think it's 2 volumes of that now.
mhm.
So you
You can
can
get it on
actually learn.
Amazon too.
You can learn the whole backstory of Sir Henry's before you go, after you go. Whenever you buy that book, it is available to you. And then before I go further, before I forget, buy your tickets in advance because you cannot buy them at the gate right now. You have to buy online in advance. Um, well worth it. Do it, please.
Yeah, and
Go
if
check
you
it
guys are curious about the dates, so they open this coming Friday, the 30th. So they're Friday, Saturday, Sundays, the 30th through November 5th. So if you're a scare actor, you do have that last weekend available to go.
out. Which
Because
is
I know a
great.
lot of scare actors do miss it sometimes.
Going into November is always a great thing for me as far as haunts go
Oh, yeah.
because it gives you that extra time from like us, we have tickets that we try to take advantage of HHN as much as we can because we spend a lot of money on those tickets.
Hmm.
So having that extra week or two, depending on the hunt, is a great opportunity. But anyways, the three trails, Jess, they phenomenal this year.
They were so good.
They
I
were
was so
so
scared.
good.
I was so scared. And they pulse you okay, Hollow Scream pulses you, but it's like a couple minutes between groups. So like
Mm-hmm.
we went through, I think, two of the trails with Emily from Thrill Geek and her partner and their friend, but we did one alone.
Is that where we're starting? We're gonna start
No,
with
no,
that
no,
one.
no, no. I think we should start.
Oh,
Let's
okay,
let's go in the order we went, and
okay,
end with
that's
like
fair.
the premiere one this year.
No, no, I get that. That's fair. That's fair. We're
Let's
gonna
not
start.
talk about that
Yeah,
middle one yet.
no, no, no. So we start with Rapture of the Deep, which is if you just generally know about Sir Henry's, at least from last year's, the Shark House, right? That's how it was looked at.
Yep.
Um, so if you did go last year, though, they have upped it. They've added some effects,
Oh yeah,
and by effects we mean they've added puppets,
massive.
especially like massive puppets.
Massive. Oh, we should say there's going to be spoilers. If
Oh
you
yeah,
care
it's all
about Sir
spoilers.
Henry
Definitely
spoilers,
all
sorry,
spoilers. So
we're bad at that.
there you go. Go buy your tickets if you don't want spoilers, and then click off this episode because that's well, I guess come back in like 30 minutes because we're also
Yeah, come back for Stay
staying
Screamcast.
Screamcast. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, it's the same concept. You're out. You go out to a dock and you encounter sea creatures and seamen, not
Mm-hmm.
seamen. I
Mm-hmm.
hope not, at least. Oh, yeah, oh God. Um,
All right. So
I didn't know where to go. I got stuck. Oh God.
where's Mike when we need him? Mike would have found a nice way to segue this one. So yeah, there are definitely seafarers in this house.
Oh, that's
Of
a good
all
word. I like that. There
genders.
you go.
There were ladies in there too. But no, this was honestly my favorite trail last year for Halloween. Um, so the fact that it got plussed so much, honestly, there was a really big like anglerfish puppet that I think lit up
That
too.
also lit up. Yes.
It was crazy. They also there was like a lighthouse with a body hanging, so there was a full like enclosed lighthouse that you walked through. Definitely look up this year at the trails because we would have missed it if this character wasn't just like staring up at the ceiling. Um, but no, it was really good. They still have the hydraulic dock that moves as you walk on it. There's still that like center with the I guess it would be like a marina or something with a bunch of boats. But there was a scare actor following us who screamed in my ear in that one. But I really like this trail. I think it's really good. I think that the additions made it even better. And it still was like a 5 or 6 minute trail. These are really long
Yeah, they
experiences.
are. One of them especially.
Ooh, yeah. But no, I loved it. I really did.
Yeah, I think the effects they added were great. I think I'm a sucker for kind of the nautical house in general. So
Apparently I am too
yeah,
now.
clearly,
God.
so it generally works.
Mm,
But before we move on to the next one, let me just really quick read the description because, of course, these all do actually have really good backstories behind them as well.
mm.
The fishing town of Portsmouth's successful market has been legendary for as long as anyone can remember. Unbeknown to outsiders, over a century ago, the town made a deal with a sea witch to sacrifice a human life to her sea creature every year in exchange for a lucrative harvest in favorable seas. Unfortunately, due to Captain Jonah's return from the dead, the townsfolk missed the day of the sacrifice, and now the sea witch has unleashed her wrath. Her sea creature has been released along with its spawn, and together they are swallowing Portsmouth brick by brick. Will you join the townsfolk at the bottom of the ocean, or will you escape the clutches of the Kraken?
Is that why they were talking about tentacles?
That's yeah, I think that was the tentacles aspect. Yes.
Okay. I did not know that part.
Yeah.
I should have read the sign outside the maze.
Yep.
I thought
That's
it
what
was
you
this.
get for just not paying attention, Jess.
To be fair, there were no tentacles other than a scare actor telling me that he thought that
Yeah,
that
we don't
the,
need to. No, we don't need to say it.
yep,
Goodbye. We're moving on.
it wasn't inappropriate, but it wasn't appropriate. Yeah, moving on.
Oh, this next one's gonna be great because this house fucked you up.
Oh, it's so scary.
The next house is going to be, if you've been to Sir Henry's before, that center house that is in the beautiful mansion facade. This time, it is Final Cut. Real quick description of Final Cut. Rising Silent era starlet Joan Parker has purchased herself a mansion with a dark history. The former resident was an actress who, after years and years of failed attempts to reach fame, killed herself in the home. At first glance, the mansion was bare and empty, except for a large statue in the cellar. Strange things began to happen in the few weeks of living here in her new home. Noises coming from nowhere, objects disappearing and reappearing, a feeling of constantly being watched, and the statue strangely seeming to come alive. Now, you are invited to Joan's movie party, but beware to accept this invitation, for the entity of the dead actress has overcome Joan to wreak havoc on her party. Will you fall victim to its ghostly possession?
Yes, I
Yes,
did.
you did. You absolutely
I
did.
I died in there. This is my
So,
ghost.
this is the most intense haunt, maze, house, whatever trail you want to call it, there is in Florida this year. I've not done every single one yet, obviously,
Hmm.
but I feel safe saying that.
Yeah, this is the most intense thing I think I've ever done. I've only been going to haunts for 5 years, but like, Jesus fucking Christ, it was good. It was very good. There, before we get into the scariest part, the standout scene for me was walking through the movie screen at that, like,
Yeah,
I guess it was like the movie premiere.
what a transition that is.
It was so good. You had to duck a little bit,
Hmm.
and there was a scare actor right behind it, and they were projecting the movie onto the screen, so like you were blinded. Um, and then lights in this house, the lights would turn off for like 3 seconds at a time, and it would just be pitch black, and you would have to navigate through the different parts of the house.
Hmm.
And I don't do well in just complete darkness, like at all. I was already on edge because of that. um, and there were just scares coming from places I wasn't expecting them to come from, like inside a refrigerator. I mean, the bed scare was a little obvious because it was moving, but there was a bed scare where the bed opened up and there was a scare actor inside of it. Um, Terrifying.
Yeah, the utilization of scare actors was phenomenal. How they had them come at you, where they had them come from,
Hmm.
absolutely just phenomenal. Like the intensity that provided.
Hmm.
But just we don't need to wait further. What is the scene that like just really did it for you?
It was like in the middle of that, or was it I don't
It
remember.
was
I blacked.
closer to the end.
Okay. So you turn the corner, and like there are tight spaces in this trail, but it was, I don't know if it was the costume closet or the closet of the house, whatever it was the closet. And there were just racks of clothes, and you had to walk between them. And they were like head high. They weren't like lower. So it was very claustrophobic. And every time you would like round a corner, there would just be farther to walk. And it just kept going. And I literally could not see the end beyond Duff. And this is the one we went alone through, I should say that. It was just us. So, and there was, I think, one or two, I think there was only one scare actor in that whole room, but it felt like four.
Yeah.
Because she was like jumping behind us and going between the other racks and popping out, pushing the clothes into our faces. Like, I could not breathe. Claustrophobia is a big thing with me, and I never feel that in like HHN houses. But I was genuinely panicking in this one, and I like grabbed onto Duff and I was like, move. Go. I was not okay. I started actually panicking, and I don't do that very often in a house. I'll get scared and like, ha ha ha. No, it was fantastic.
Yeah, I don't know if I have anything to add to that. It was great, and you need to experience it. And if you are someone who does get claustrophobic, or if that like level of intensity and scares gets to you, I
Yeah,
would say be careful and consider maybe not doing it because it can really because you're not the only one who that fully got to and like
yeah,
had to like there were people who had to fully like take a breather after and just like decompress because it really got them.
yeah. I was panting after that. Like I calmed down a little bit, but I was not okay. And I can't wait to do it again. But I can see this being the farthest I ever go with like a haunt. Like they never touched me, but I felt like we were like inches away from it. Like,
Mm.
and these clothes were like they smelled like cat pee and mildew, and like this house is fantastic. I can't wait to do it again. But like, whoo, intense.
Yep, absolutely. And then this last one is
Mm.
it's kind of the most overhauled trail they have. They have added so much to this trail, and the sets are outstanding. Sorry, hold on.
Oh, it's okay. I think someone agrees with you. But headless. I can read the description while the puppy plays with the toy. Uh, headless is like their. It's kind of I guess it would be like their. What's the word I'm looking for? Their headliner, like the weekend.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
So, headless. In a small town, there exists the legend of General Hanover's treasure. The general was famous for his brutality during the Revolutionary War, slaying his victims and taking a piece of their spine to fashion into a whip and stowing away whatever valuables he found on them. After meeting his end with a beheading by a cannonball, rumors circulated about where he hid his stolen riches, but it was never discovered. Now, many years later, a massive manhunt was brought together to find this treasure once and for all. But when some villagers got too close to finding it, the headless ghost of General Hanover began to appear in the graveyard, mounted on a tall, dark horse, warding off all of those who sought his treasure and decapitating those that crossed his path. Will you dare to face the horseman for his treasure, or will you too become headless?
I sure did become headless.
It
It
was so
happened.
good.
It happened. Yeah, the sets for a local hunt like this will blow your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Some
Yes.
of the scares, well, I don't think it was the scariest by any means.
No.
The single scares itself were just like, oh, they did that.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa. um, yeah, I think this is more than worthy of being their headliner. It is. It feels a level beyond even what you can see at like Hallow Scream or Fright Fest or some of
Yeah.
these like I don't want to say lower end, but non HHN level theme park cons.
Yeah, for sure. It was cool because the sets, like even some of them, like the church from the outside, I was like, oh, it's the church again. But then when you walked in, that was not the same church from
No,
last year's trail.
no, no, definitely not.
So, and then the I guess the outdoor portion, like the woods portion of it, it was very Central Park HHN scare zone with the
Mhm.
carved pumpkins,
Mhm.
but it was so pretty. Like we love that shit. This trail was gorgeous from start to finish because you start in like a pub. Um, but yeah, some of the scares were good. They had I appreciated that they used levels this year. I don't remember them really using that before, but there were a couple scares up top in two of the trails. This one had a girl in a fireplace on her back.
Yeah, upside down. Her head was
Yeah,
upside down out of the fireplace.
I wish she could like jump at us, but like, and then she followed us, and then we just had this like creepy little kid following us on the bridge, and I was just okay.
Mhm.
Um, I really loved it. There was my favorite part was the slider, like just randomly but following me through
Yeah,
two little
yeah. It was
hallways.
like actually like a slider that follows behind you,
Yeah.
which was um, cool. I mean, if it's a larger group, unfortunately, the front of your group's not going to get to experience it. But if you do get to see it, very cool.
Oh, it was great. And like I always end up at the back of the line no matter what haunt we're at. It's just how it is. I'm not a front of the pack kind of a girl. But I'll always pull up the rear, but then you get more scares at Sir Henry's. So don't fight for the front for this one. Go in the back, honestly.
Yeah, if you're looking for scares, the back can get you a lot better than the front.
Because they
To be honest.
follow you. The director in Final Cut followed me a couple rooms.
Yeah,
And I just kept turning around and there he was. So it's a whole different experience. But this one was 7 minutes from start to finish.
it was so long, and they have these sets that are outside that are supposed to like emulate like the center of town, and
Mhm.
you see them from so many different angles. They're beautiful, they're large. It is so impressive, and it is so worth the time you spend in there.
Oh yeah, it felt long, but it also felt like it went by so fast that I was like, that was 7 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We just went in there.
Yep. Absolutely.
And it was really good. And there are this is they did let us film this one forward facing, which they've never let us do that before. So um other everyone got to do that. So there are videos of this one. If you can't make it to Sir Henry's, go watch some of the videos and check out our TikTok because it's worth it, honestly.
Yep. Completely. I don't know what else I have to say about Sir Henry's other than like you seriously need to check it out. Like
Oh yeah.
I
And I would recommend the front of the line. I think it's only like $10 more. And every time I've gone, I've gotten it, and it saved me like 30 minutes sometimes on each trail.
yeah. Yep. Completely.
So, but yeah, Sir Henry's, thanks for inviting us out.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate it. Always a pleasure to head out there. We'll definitely be going back as paying guests as well.
Oh yeah, Final
Hang out
Cut
with
and
everyone who
I,
didn't see it.
we need to have a moment again.
Yeah, for sure. For
And
sure.
Duff and I need to watch all of our friends go through it.
Yeah, they are going to get fucked up and it'll be great.
Oh yeah, I'm also gonna get fucked up again.
True. Very true.
R.I.P. to me.
But yeah, buy your tickets in advance. Go to Sir Henry's. You have till the first week of November. Check it out, please.
Oh yeah.
Please do. And then before we do wrap up this episode, we do have a voicemail that we kind of want to discuss a bit and listen to before we finish out. So let's take a listen here.
Hello, hello, hello. This is Chris from New York calling on Instagram as at Cheerful But Grim. I'm leaving a message, you can call it a request, as it were, to see if I know that the event is nascent and we're still sorting a whole lot of stuff out. And, it's like week 4. We're going into week 4. Things are happening. All I can hope is that I give you this request, which is, in honor of Nico, you consider what you think in advance the hot house of the year will be. So when you go through the next couple of times, just think about it. Just think, what is the hot house of the year? And you got about 6 weeks left to come to an agreement on it. But I just wanted to throw it out there as a reminder that the hot house is still a thing. And we all want to know, what is the hot house of the year? Okay, thank you. Love you. And we'll talk to you soon. Love HHN 365. Bless.
Well, thank you, Chris. I appreciate you calling in and asking a question I'm not sure I have an answer to yet. I don't think there's one that fully
Oh,
stands out as the hot house.
I think if you ask my sister, it's
Well,
Blumhouse.
okay, that's for one scene, and it probably has to do more with Hollywood than Orlando.
I agree. I'm just also giving Chris the answer he wants. No, I don't. I know what the hot part of HHN is, and it's Conjure the Dark.
Yeah. Or, I mean,
Um,
still, Nightmare Fuel does exist, whether you want to
I still
recognize it
haven't
or not.
seen it this
Yeah.
year. I know it's the same, but
But
I will keep that in mind.
Hot House, yeah. I think there's a couple options. And for the sake of revealing it at some point, I will not even say what they are. Because I do have a, I have, I, honestly like 3 right now that I think when I go through and kind of envision it in that sense, I will find one of them to be the hothouse. I just don't have the hothouse yet.
I kind of wish that this is ridiculous and you're going to hate me for this, but I have to say it because it popped in my head. I kind of wish Hellblock, they would do like the monsters, but like shirtless with like the little jumpsuits tied around their waist. And then it's just like the hot character.
I'm envisioning like the invasion alien.
Yeah,
as
in
like
his
a
little
hot
skirt.
alien.
I think Coven's hot in the way that all the victims are men.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm gonna stop talking. But yeah, I'm gonna keep that in mind. I love a hot house.
Yeah. But as you said, Chris, I think this is something we're going to take time till the end of the season to try to decide. So we will keep this in mind. It's already, I mean, it's always in mind. It's, shout out to
Always.
Catacombs for coming up with the hothouse rating scale that exists out there for us to always have this on the top of our heads. I just don't have an answer yet. I really don't. There's a few. We'll see what it ends up being. Things could change too. Maybe it'll be an outsider who jumps in. We'll see. But it is not the most obvious year for a hothouse.
I do think the hottest thing at a haunt this year is Cargo Carnage over at Hollow Scream.
Cargo Carnage is more than hot.
Kinky. Hey, Duff saw Monster Stomp, guys.
Finally.
And he got Evanescence.
I got it.
Evanescence.
I
love that show.
It's the best thing at that event. I think it's... Oh, this is going to hurt for some people. But it's the best haunt show there is.
Oh, you agree with me.
This year? Yeah.
It's the best.
Best haunt stage show, at least. I have to decide about other things. But the best haunt stage show.
And it's the same as last year. Completely the same.
Yeah, I don't know. It just works really well. It's a fun little story. I think there's a lot of fun scenes that just kind of fit what I'm looking for in a haunt show, There's
also a lot of diversity in the casting, and we don't get that at HHN still with our stage
shows.
Oh,
and not even close. Like, not even close.
Yeah, the diversity on that stage, like, really makes me very happy.
Mm-hmm.
So, Monster Stomp, I love you.
It is great, and I will be watching it several more times this season, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
But otherwise, Jess, I think we're going to go ahead to HHN right about now to close out
Time
week
to go.
4. The last time we go to this HHN before going to Hollywood's HHN.
And we're going to end with monsters, so we end with part 1 before we get on a plane and go see part 2.
Exactly.
We're doing it.
But hey, if you want to hear from us before, during, after, then, we have social media. That's Twitter and Instagram at HHN365 and on TikTok at HHN365pod. Again, we have merch. Rep it. Buy it. It's great. I'm biased, but it's still great. At hhn365.bigcartel.com. And leave us a voicemail. Ask us about something like a hothouse or, whatever pops to the top of your head at 407-906-4134, and we will discuss that on the show. Otherwise, you'll hear from Mike soon. You'll hear from us in 2 weeks about Hollywood and Scary Farm. Until then, see you in the streets.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Stay Screamcast. My name is Hunter, and with me, like always, is my good friend Duff.
Hey, it's me. What's up? I'm here.
Duff, it's nice to be back, bud.
It's great.
We've, if you can't tell from the soundtrack, we've returned to Shea Alcatraz. It's been a minute.
That was
2020.
That was an actual HHN Stay Screamcast.
This is the first time Richter's has been a Stay Scream location, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
First time ever. But we are not alone, because we have a very special topic. So I guess we should go ahead and introduce your regular co-host, but special guest for Stay Screamcast, Jess.
Hello, I'm here.
Nice to have you.
Happy to be here as part of 365 this time.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's a whole collective. Yeah, because last time we did the merch episode, right?
Wicked Divas.
Wicked Diva. Oh, man.
I talked about that last night in line, actually.
One Wicked Diva versus 10 Scream Squads.
I would rather take a Scream Squad over a Wicked Diva. I already said that.
Okay.
I will stand firm on that because it's gender inclusive.
That's fair.
A Wicked Diva, to me, that sounds feminine.
You're covering all your bases. But also joining us, very special guest, someone that we had to get for this episode because the topic is right along, I guess, their wheelhouse, their most knowledgeable side of HHN.
I'm really getting overhyped right now.
No, not at all.
I'm going to drop them all so
Good
bad
friend
now.
Dakota from Cathoid Coaster.
Hi. Hello.
So, like I said, we are going to be talking about the weekend in particular. It's been often talked about, debated even. There's been all sorts of opinions, but before we get started, I just think that I think all of us were pretty on board for this idea from the start, and we're just really excited to see how that has been translated into a Halloween Horror Nights house. We haven't had a chance to see the Hollywood version yet. 3 of us here at this table are going to see that, so maybe we'll have to do a report. So we're specifically talking about the HHN Orlando house, but I guess without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into After Hours Nightmare. Okay, so yes, the weekend, After Hours. Like I've said, it's been discussed front to back, but we have Dakota here. Dakota is a diehard weekend fan, just like Duff is, and then Jess and I are kind of on a similar playing field as far as the property, but let's go ahead and pass it over to our guest because, to be honest, your opinion matters the most. How do you feel about the interpretation of the weekend at the event? Is it more than you thought it would be? Is it less than what you thought it would be? Or are you just kind of all over the place? You're surprised at how well it's turned out?
I guess I would say, like, I think there are certain things I completely expected, like are we being spoilery?
Yes, spoilers are allowed. So hey, if you're
run away.
Yeah, if you're not, you're avoiding spoilers still, go away. We appreciate it. You've already given us the download. We don't care.
Fucking nerds.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I fully expected like the Super Bowl mirror hallway. That didn't. But I was hoping to see like more like weird interpretations, and I like that, you know, we saw things like little moments like the licking the frog and then the little like toad eyes and hands turn into like whole scenes and sequences. So I liked that they were able to take small elements and kind of expand them into larger ideas, but also I don't know. I like it. It's definitely a weird mix of like visuals that if you've seen the music videos you would understand, but also that maybe you would have to do a little bit of homework and watch the movies that were recommended.
Speaking personally, this was a house that I think, Jess, you've expressed similar sentiments. It's just one of those things where it's like, okay, this music's really cool, I like it, I have no idea how this translates into a house, which is where it ended up. I think on my like hype list going into the event, it was like number 8, just because I was like, I don't know what this house is going to be or what this is going to look like. And then opening weekend, I think it was number 2 for me, and I think it shifted a little bit since then, especially as like the houses are really finding their footing and everything. But I still think it's a real highlight of the event. So, what about you, Duff? Where are you on the weekend, a couple weeks out from event start?
I mean, like you were mentioning how you and Jess kind of had like this, our approach is, you know, we enjoyed the music and we weren't sure how it's going to be done. Is that really different than like how me and Dakota felt, other than we just enjoy the music more?
No, but it could
we still didn't know what to
potentially
expect.
been your Beetlejuice or your Ghostbusters, and I guess
True.
that's what we're kind of comparing it to. It's
And
your IP.
and I think being familiarized with the music videos and like that Entertainment Weekly, you had a basic idea. I didn't watch the music videos at all.
I mean,
because they only put 3 of them
I still
in
had no
anyway.
idea. I still had no idea what they were going to bring to the table. So I went in
that's fair.
fully not knowing what to expect outside of, again, the Entertainment Weekly article spilled a lot. Without that, I would have had no idea. But yeah, I think the execution of it is a lot of fun. Like Dakota said, I think there are some obvious scenes as well. I think for the most part, they're all kind of highlights, except the mask. I love the scene. I love what they did with it, but that mask, you know which mask I mean.
The Toad one?
Oh, you don't like Toad?
Is this where you were about to say it's
tongue.
camp
Yeah,
and
the
we love
tongue.
it?
Yeah.
What?
The tongue.
The
Oh, you don't like
one.
tongue mask? I
The
love
toad
tongue
one.
mask. It's
Like the
ridiculous.
quality of the mask?
Oh, it's just ridiculous.
Oh,
Well, he
it's
needs to
terrible.
powder it.
It's just very.
That's all it is. It's a little shiny.
It's very. I don't know. The whole thing is so exaggerated. No one really looks like a human anyway.
It looks ridiculous to me. I'm sorry.
Like, I mean,
It
because
looks-
even, okay, like the bandage faces, that's not his bone structure. They're like so
No.
pointy.
No.
And, you know, I guess I
Have
like
you
it.
seen Hollywood's the female masks that they have?
I don't like any of Hollywood's
Okay,
masks.
so I'm trying not to spoil it, obviously,
No,
for the
you're
ones
good.
who I've spoiled Hollywood for myself, but the Hollywood masks are rough.
They're bad.
But
Ours-
Hollywood masks for every house are always rough.
Obviously,
It's
but
what
they're,
they do.
I think
their bread
their
and butter.
Toad mask looks cool.
Yes, and they're the Yep.
Yeah.
That one. At the end of the house looks great.
Yeah.
The toad at the end.
Honestly, the only effect I don't like in the house is really the deity head rip. I think like that's kind of corny.
I think
really?
it looks really
Oh,
cool
I think
in
it looks
Hollywood,
good.
though.
I like it here.
It's
I
kind
think
of
it
just
looks
like
good here.
shoved
I
in
feel
a
like if it-
corner,
I feel
and
like
it's
if it were
weird.
just positioned
the
differently, like-
multi-armed.
I think there needed to be a scare on the right.
There needs to be a
because
distraction
It's a very
scare.
it's a distraction
Yeah.
setup that
Yeah.
I'm always expecting.
Well, the
Yeah.
headless
Or-
guy is
He's
never
never
in
there.
his
Yeah, I was gonna
shot.
say if they consistently
You're
had
talking
him,
about,
that
like,
would
the
help
big
that
pile
I
of
was
much.
tiny
talking
guts,
even
yeah,
before
there's, like, supposed
that.
to be a headless
So when
scare
you
there.
walk
We
into
haven't
the
seen
room,
anybody there
on the
for-
right.
I've
Like there's
seen
like
it
that mirror.
twice.
The mirror could have been a drop window or something like that,
Yeah.
just to set up a distraction.
I mean, I do think I do have problems with this house. I think it is staffing is wildly inconsistent.
Always an issue.
Yeah.
Always an issue.
And it's always like essential scares that someone should be taken out of a costume and put into another costume.
There need to be the two lizard people in the
the-
sewer.
I haven't had the
There's
one on
always
the
Why is it
one.
always just
Ever.
one?
Stillwater
Why is it always
is
one?
never there,
Ever.
ever. And it's like probably my favorite scare this year, so it's
Yeah.
really sad that it's never there. Have you guys seen there's like occasionally, once in a blue moon, an above
The
scare?
overhead. We saw it for the first time, and I was like,
What?
"Holy crap!"
Right
that-
before you walk
there's
into
a-
the subway.
yeah.
There's like an arm
You know where
that
the
reaches down,
subway
it's a
map
lizard
is?
arm.
Yeah.
There's an overhead lizard
Did we
swipe.
have that on
On opening night, we had it.
I'll go watch the video.
I did
I've
not
seen
see it until
I saw
last
it last
week.
weekend. I haven't seen it yet this weekend. I
Oh,
did it
wow.
twice last night, and I'm still like,
Wow.
Yeah.
Is it a toad arm?
yeah.
Yeah, he just like swipes down because
Or have-
that room we were just like, oh, it's a transition room. So when we saw it for the first time, we were like, holy crap, what was
Yeah.
that?
I didn't see the half transformed Abel for like the first week.
Oh, I don't see him.
I've been
a
seeing
lot.
him.
I don't
here.
think I've ever seen.
Where's
Oh,
he
yeah.
at?
He's in the hotel hallway where the like walls are getting covered in the and right
Oh,
before
the
right
door,
before-
the false door.
Yeah, the false door opens up and he's like half Abel,
So
half
one
Toad.
cast has it and the other one doesn't.
That's why.
I can tell you that confirmed because I've gotten both casts. And if I catch one, I know I'm going to get at least 2 toads. And if I catch the other, I might get 3.
So this is right before the wallpaper scare.
Yeah.
Okay.
That
It's
to
a
me,
false door that it looks like the wallpaper, and he just opens it, and it's half toad, half Abel.
I would lose literally one of the like plastic surgery girls and put her in that
The one
costume.
after the
We've
Lego
already
section.
lost one.
Yeah, I know we
Yeah.
have.
We haven't seen the second one in some time. Every time I walk by and I see the little foot pedal, and I'm like,
So,
yeah.
okay, I think the two
Right.
girls in the bathroom should stay where they are, but the one who's right before the mirror hallway, she's also never there. And I'm like, when
But
she
when
is,
she gets me every time.
she does work it.
But that costume's unnecessary in that position of the house.
It is.
It
And
makes
you
no
could, you could
sense.
have an Abel in
Yeah.
the glitter suit at that
I
point.
also, has anyone seen the first Abel, like, in the hallway before the axe girl? I haven't
seen
seen
that in a
him in
while.
weeks.
It's been a long time.
I think he
Long
may have
time.
gotten moved.
Yeah.
Which,
So-
I mean,
But he's one of the only non-bandaged
I
ones that we
agree.
see.
yeah. Speaking of bandages, I will say the bandage scare in the mirror hallway is one of my favorite scares at the event. He's so consistent, and he pretty much gets me every single time.
Yeah, when
agree.
those lights go out.
both of them.
Yeah.
I wish there was, that room just needs a third one.
Yeah, it needs one
In a
halfway
corner.
through.
And you know that room that's like zigzaggy little mirror cutouts?
Yeah.
Like if you just tucked an Abel there, like the mirrors are there to confuse you. Like,
Make him act like a static figure.
yeah.
You kind of make your own fun, like you
Yeah.
reenact.
Well, I'm always expecting someone to, like,
Yeah.
pop out of me, just like I always expect the grabber in the chair in the kitchen to always be a human now. He's never going to be one, but I'm like, oh, God, don't jump out at me.
Baby hands.
So I think something we should talk about for sure is that the house that we all saw opening weekend is, you know, that was the 1.0 version, and we got the final version or the 2.0 version the following weekend, and that's been kind of mixed. I'm going to be honest, the house dropped a little bit for me. Dropped a little bit. I guess it works either way. But anyways, it went down a little bit for me just because I think just having those 3 songs and the consistent mixture of those 3 provided this really nice, like, flow through the house. And I think now there's just a little too much in a way. It's like, it's great to have more music, but I just don't think it has the oomph that it originally did.
Were there, oh, sorry.
go-
No,
you-
you're the guest. Please.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
I was just gonna say, I think the 3 songs that were cut, honestly, are the 3 songs that should have maybe 2 of them I think should have been like stronger features to begin with. So like to lose Heartless and Too Late specifically, like After Hours wasn't a single. It's one of my favorite songs on the album, but like losing it, I get it. But like, man, Heartless is like not just like, I feel like it's maybe the thesis statement of the album. So it's like, this really sucks, and it's also, it informs so much of the haunted house with the frog aesthetic that it's like, I mean, like, it's even, you know, from the licking to everything. So I think that losing that really sucks.
For me, it was actually, so the new scene, I believe the entrance is a song called I'll Die For You.
Die For You, yeah.
Die For You.
Yeah.
Losing In Your Eyes in that opening sequence, I think kind of like, it immediately takes away some of that momentum you got when you go in. Because I just think In Your Eyes has that really solid, like, okay, we're about to party now.
I kind of like Die For You in this spot.
I get it. I don't think there's a right answer for that.
Right.
I just prefer In Your Eyes.
Die For You out of the three is the one that has, because my first run through I thought they were all kind of a downgrade from what we had. Die For You is the one that's kind of caught on for me. I'm like, okay, it fits really well. I think the lyrics and the like distorted style like fit what you're walking into, and it works really well. The other two though, man,
Is it Party Monster most people don't like? Is that the song?
No. Party Monster is another song from Starboy, which that's what I use off of. I think Party Monster would actually work really well in this
I think
house.
Maybe that's what I'll give you. One of you guys said, like, use that one.
Yeah,
instead
because
or
Party
something.
Monster
they
was
also
great in
added
this house.
Sacrifice and Take My Breath.
Yeah.
Which I think there's an argument to be made that the lyrics fit the house better than what we had previously. But I don't think the music does as a whole. I think it kind of throws off the pacing and the vibe of the house.
Yeah.
I know I'm deaf from just as many concerts as I've gone to. I just wish the music was louder for the new stuff because it does feel quieter.
Sacrifice.
I agree.
Yeah. Sacrifice is really low.
Sacrifice is 2 rooms, I believe.
I
and
can't even
the
think
second,
of where it is.
The second room, it's like I can't hear it. Or the
I
first
couldn't
time.
tell you where the
first
song
room I
started,
can't hear
and
it.
I'm not even gonna lie.
I get
in the
that
house.
they wanted to incorporate the newest album into the house. That feels like a very like UMG decision. Is he under UMG?
Yeah,
I
think so, yeah.
It feels like them kind of made that call, which I get, but it's like if you're gonna bring in older songs or just other songs from other albums, like I just feel like maybe there were better choices. I don't know.
Well, question. Okay, were the songs from version 1 all from After Hours?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And were they the ones that were in the article?
Yeah.
Well, it was 3 of 6.
Three of
Three of
six.
six.
They
So-
got cut a couple weeks before the event
Okay.
started, apparently.
So the 3 we started with are all still there, just
Right,
scaled
no,
back.
I knew that.
Yeah.
But it was... So they were all from After... And now it's what, Starboy and Dawn FM have songs now?
Yeah.
So it's just weird to me because, like, the article and the advert and everything was, oh, it's After Hours Nightmare. And, like, as a casual fan, I don't know what album any of those are from,
sure.
but,
I
like,
feel
I
like-
expect it all to be After Hours.
I feel like there are songs like if you, like you could have put the Hills in this and it would have worked really well.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
You could,
yes.
I know that one.
I would have put like Or
We all
Not in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
I've never understood why they felt to even start limiting themselves to After Hours in the first place. I think I get it's probably as a whole will carry the vibe the best of what you're going for.
I think the narrative,
but you have such
yeah.
a big. He has so many options for this style
I think
that you could pull from different albums, and I think they could work together really well. Like you said, the Hills I think would blend in perfectly.
I think After Hours maybe just because it has such instantly recognizable iconography.
Yeah.
Especially after the Super Bowl. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, that exposed him to a lot of people who never would have listened to him otherwise. And then, I mean, there's always like the door, a potential open door of like, oh, well, what if we wanted to use him again in the future? We could keep doing the trilogy or whatever.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I get
So
that.
Dawn FM could feasibly be a house in a couple of years or something.
I really, I guess shifting gears a little bit, I really like just the diversity of the rooms, the scares, and basically what they're doing with this house most. And I think that's why it was so high, because each room very much has its own distinctive feel.
Yeah.
Like Dead Man's Pier is beautiful, but you're getting the same consistent thing. And I know that's kind of like, well, even better example, Halloween. You know what Halloween is going to be
Right.
front to back. And even though you might see different versions of the scare actor archetype, every location feels so distinct.
Well,
and I think that's
tonally,
part
it's
of the
also
fun.
different. Like, that's the thing. A
Yeah.
lot of the houses this year are tonally the same, except for, like, Black Phone and Freaky, obviously. Like, that's very stark. But, like,
Sure.
with The Weeknd, I feel like all of his videos, yeah, they can flow together. And I watched the 6 that they told us to watch, which I guess is why I'm a little bitter. Because I watched ones that didn't even, well, they matter, but, like, you know what I mean. I did my research, but
Sure.
tonally, it's like every room feels so different. It's like you walk into that bathroom with, you know, the headrest that you don't like, but it's, like, brown.
Yeah.
So the house is not brown. Dead Man's Pier, everything's blue-gray
Yeah.
and green. So, like, it's just something different. And I said, like, this house scratches this itch in my brain I never knew I had for HHN.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm a music person. I've always been. Like, I grew up going to concerts and stuff, but, like, I grew up listening to metal. So, like, I'm always going to be like, oh yeah, cool, that's fine. But this house like came out of nowhere for me. And it was coming out of opening weekend. It was my number 2.
Yeah, same here.
And that was like, oh,
yeah.
It should have not been that high for someone who's like a casual listener like me, but it's really good. The changes are not my favorite, but I'm learning to still love it. Like,
my only hope is with us getting into now the official like busy season. Of course, we've had sold out nights and everything, but usually come October, we start to see some of those holes patched and everything like that. So I'm hoping we see a fully staffed house of this pretty soon. But you kind of said something, Jess, that had me thinking, but just the parade buildings, that's by far my favorite corner of the park this year, because Weekend and Monsters are like the 2 defining elements of what I go to Halloween Horror Nights for, and I think they both they fit together so well in a weird way.
Yeah, the back of the park, killing it. Even the tent houses, like,
yeah.
I just go back there to have fun.
Yeah.
Like this year. So, like, I go to get my shit rocked in the parade buildings and then dance a little bit in the weekend.
Yeah.
And then I go to the tent houses and I laugh and I, smile. And then I go up to the front and I go, a dead man's pier the whole time. Like, this event is just, like, so good front to back, and I feel like the weekend kind of is, like, this big old cherry on top.
Yeah.
For 31.
I've been saying this privately, but I don't know if I've ever said it publicly. I kind of view Horror Nights as like a, kind of like anthology horror.
Sure.
And it's like, there has to be kind of a like, it has to check a lot of different boxes, and I feel like this year does actually do that really well. I don't feel like there's anything that's stepping on anything else's toes.
Yeah.
No.
Aesthetically or tonally. I mean, maybe there is kind of a lot of like, maybe sad houses, slower houses.
I can see
in
that,
the sound stages, maybe. But I don't know. I definitely feel like even then, though, it feels very split. Where it's like, yes, these are like the dark and serious houses, and these are like the fun, campy houses. So in that way, I don't know. I really like the way things are shaping up, especially the way that like the weekend kind of fits into that equation.
This might be a hot take, but for me, I totally agree with what you're saying, except for one house in particular. I feel like I wish Descendants was something else.
I do too.
I wish Descendants was.
Okay.
I wish Descendants was a different part of that anthology, because it's like I've already kind of got the jump out and boo houses, and there's other houses that do it better. But it's also, I'll fully admit, unless it's Mad Max, post-apocalyptic isn't my thing. So
yeah,
I love post-apocalyptic. I love just like in-your-face grungy shit. Like,
sure.
Obviously, if you know me, that makes sense. But like, I
think that's going to be the interesting discussion, because I think even 30 was very all over the place with everybody's rankings.
Yeah.
I feel like 31, we've kind of gotten back to top 5 is a lot of people's top 5, but the bottom 5 is going to be all over the place for people, I think.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think last year it was weird.
I feel like last year was colored by a lot of biases.
I feel like we all had a high
Icons
find.
at number 1.
No, we all had a
number one
high
making no
find
damn
last
sense.
year.
Everyone had icons or Wicked Growth High. Otherwise, it was very much
We were like Jets and Sharks. We were out.
Yeah, it was
snapping at each other.
Icons.
I really feel like I feel like it was Icons and Wicked Growth really weren't like the actual battling for the top spot with most people, and then you had this very obsessive cult for
Case Files. Just say it.
Sorry, I forget they exist.
Well, it was also a lot of, and this is not like a gatekeeping
big.
thing, it was a lot of the HHN babies, like they latched onto Case Files.
I latched onto Case Files. That was my favorite house of the year.
It's so good, but like they weren't, like some of them weren't into Icons, like,
Yeah. I've been going for a billion years. I've seen all the Icons, and I think that's why I didn't really, like, I thought it was fine, but that was good.
Yeah.
There's that one guy that's like, Carrie. Carrie was the number 1 house last year. I did too, but I can't defend Carrie.
No.
If you're like, I didn't like
can't.
Carrie, I'd be like, okay, I get
If someone
it.
said they didn't like it, I'm like, I get it.
You
don't
had
gotta
to
explain
know
yourself
too
at all.
much to love
Fully
Carrie.
did.
My mom was like, what's going on? And then she like walked through everything else and was like, I get the story, but Carrie, she's like, I don't know, man.
It's just ooky spooky.
Yeah.
I think
knowing
Dakota and I
everything,
talked about it, but just like, I thought it was really clever the way that they tried to fit everything together. Going through the sewer up into the dilapidated manor.
It all
like,
flowed
that's fun.
very natural. Well, it flowed naturally to a point.
But
and
you
then
had
Until you
to
reach
know the
HR,
map.
and then you're like,
And then
okay,
pump the
where are
brakes.
these?
You had to have like a knowledge of Skipper Haas's like map in your mind of Carrie. Like,
Yeah.
you had to be us. That's what it was.
You had to be a fan.
But the weekend, so I guess another thing I wanted to say, it seems like that queue, I wish they would incorporate more queues like that.
Yeah.
Because people are having a good time. And like, if it's as simple as just putting different music in the queues for people to rock out, like if you just want to do one house gets the 80s hair metal karaoke playlist or whatever, go for it. I don't care. Yeah.
I have never seen an entire crowd break out into song.
Ever.
It's like a concert.
And I see it every single night in that queue. Especially, specifically if it's Save Your Tears or Blinding Lights.
Yeah.
The entire crowd will be singing. And I'm like...
It caught me off guard. One night I was walking through Express and, like, I didn't know people were singing yet. I don't know. I had missed it, I guess.
Yeah.
And I, like, rounded that, like, zigzag we have to do, and I was like, wow, I feel like I'm at a concert. This is like, ooh, serotonin, let's go.
Duff, do you remember back in the day when they were building Rip Ride Rocket and they had all of the sound stages queuing indoors?
Yes.
And they would play, like, the Thriller video and shit?
Yep.
I think that was the last time
was
I've
anything
seen
like that.
anything
Yeah.
like that. And this is still crazier.
It just seems like such an easy wheel out the speakers. We know you have them in the park somewhere, and just put them out and let people listen to something and have fun.
And it's funny, it's been
I
described.
know they do the projections in October,
That's
but
not.
Yeah,
Well, they're starting
the
to set up.
scaffolding is
Yeah.
starting to go up.
It's funny because people are treating this like it's some like massive groundbreaking thing. It's like they literally are just playing music.
Never before
And
done
have some
queue
lights.
experience.
Yeah.
Like people are acting, like this.
Oh my
this is
God.
huge.
Do you
Like
remember
There's
the
going to be a
undertaking.
club.
There's
in
going to be
the-
a club with a bar, and you're going to have a pre-show.
well,
I
if
feel like
enough of you guys redeem these NFTs, we can afford to put
Jesus
speakers and a Spotify
Christ.
premium membership.
There's not even a weekend NFT. Why would we care?
Yeah, why would we care?
Non-fuckable Tonys.
Non-fuckable Tonys. Here's a bug that's not in the house.
It's a fucking what? Okay, the best one is the Blumhouse Comedy and Tragedy Masks, and that's the
It
only
is a good
argument
one.
I'll have.
Yeah.
That's it.
I thought you were being ironic. I was like, no, the best one is the Hellblock Horror, which literally just says Hellblock Horror. The only part of the weekend that I think they completely dropped the ball on, it totally deserved a much better facade. And
Oh, no,
even
I
if
agree.
you want
I
to
thought you were
use...
gonna say merch. I was like, ooh, let's talk about
let's
that.
I really
that.
like the shirt and the hoodie, to be honest.
Oh,
I just wish there was more.
I just wish there was more.
Yeah, I wish that.
I will buy the shirt, which I didn't think I would.
But I'm gonna wait.
I think it works on the hoodie. For some reason, his face can work on the back of a
I
hoodie.
agree.
But on the front of a shirt, it just is.
It's a sleep
not,
shirt. I scooped them both up because I couldn't not.
Yeah.
But I don't wear that shirt in public.
I've still fully held off from buying either.
I'm actually surprised.
Yeah.
Literally.
And if I buy one, it'll only be the hoodie. Only the hoodie.
Immediately. It was an immediate
Yeah.
purchase.
I immediately saw it and went, fuck.
No, not to go off on that tangent, but the Halloween ringer tee is the winner for me this year. I think it looks
That
so
Halloween
good.
design is so
If
good.
it wasn't a ringer, sure.
I don't like ringers either.
I like ringers, but I have to. The color palette of the design has to match the color of the collar.
Sure.
And the white and the orange and everything happening, I'm like,
I can understand.
But they
I
only
think it
do
works.
white or red. That's the only color ringers Universal ever
Yeah.
does.
I have white boy fashion sense, so like I'll just
Take your card.
it got Michael Myers on it. Yeah, you're good.
That design is so good, it can almost lead me to buy it. Like I'm staring right now at the lanyard. Looks
Yeah.
great on the lanyard. Looks great on the glass.
It's so vibrant too.
That's it. It pops.
It's
like this,
so nice.
and it glows so good, like the fluorescent.
And I like that they. Okay, I know we're not talking about merch, but the pouches they did a red and an orange this year, so you could have both if you got your vibe.
Can we talk about how I bring an old pouch, literally because it drives me insane?
Oh, because it's clear.
I want both
Yeah.
motherfucking sides.
I have
you
it
put your
too.
AP on one side.
So I can
I
get
could-
my AP. on
I am
the
a
other side.
firm believer in the
I got
whole
this-
wallet now.
So this is my wallet and this is my pass.
This is the best thing I've ever bought.
The
at the
zips,
end.
we call them zip zips.
Zip zips.
In our little friend group, the zip zips, the little retractable IDs. If you have Express, it's the best thing in the world.
Yeah, no, I do.
I'm a lanyard boy. If you could see me right now, I have a lanyard. I have two
He's
drink pouches.
HHN Rambo. That's what I've been
Literally
calling
when
looks
you
him.
walked up,
Going to
I was
war.
like, "What kind of dominatrix gear?"
This is incredible.
HHN Rambo.
Yeah.
I meant to say something when we were in line for the bar, and I was. We started
Oh,
talking about something else.
He's
wait.
very proud of
So we
that.
were talking about the facade. The fact that they aren't projecting the music videos on the side. I know.
You could have kept the one projection and set up another one and do the video.
And even if you wanted to play the music,
Why
just
are you
mute the
shaking
videos.
your head, no, Duff?
So I don't even care about that. I want a real facade.
I want a real.
Hollywood blew
I don't
us
care
out of the
about.
fucking
I
water
don't care
with
what the
facade.
fuck
And
is
the
on that
eyes light
screen.
up.
I want
Yeah.
a
Abel's
facade,
eyes
an
light
indoor
up.
facade.
Have you
Even
seen,
if it had just
have
been
you
the
seen
Hollywood
Hollywood's
facade.
Okay, the record you have.
Yeah.
And
I think
it's a
I
blood
would've
been
splatter
fine with
vinyl
that.
coming out of it too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We definitely got wrong. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna say something. I don't think Orlando wanted this IP.
I don't think they did either.
I don't think they
I'll
wanted
let
this.
you
This
know
is a
next
Murdy,
week.
and then hey, we've got to do it.
Yeah,
because that's the
I think
only
this
way
was
we're
So,
this
I've
was
been
forced
saying
on
it.
Orlando, and we got landed. with
Opening
that.
night, I went through it for Stay Scream before I got to, meet up with Duff and do everything. And I left it and I texted him. I said, it's a Hollywood house done by Orlando.
Yeah.
This
That's
is
what
the
it feels
first time
like.
I've seen platforms
Yeah.
utilized so often in a house for Orlando. There weren't black hallways, but it just felt like Murdy designed it, and then Aiello went,
If you
like,
have seen the Hollywood version, they are beat for beat the same
Yeah.
house, but the rooms clearly were designed by different designers.
yes. And the scares are coming from different areas, and like they're doing the distraction and the setup that I'm used to in Orlando. So I'm kind of shocked that we're not doing it.
Even down to the same like ideas like plastic surgery, liposuction, and then deity able, but it's designed differently and is laid out differently. But it's the same beat for beat house, and so it's like I literally like went through and I was like, I just kind of want to see what I think of each one, and it really kind of just feels like a 50-50 thing, like where one fails, the other seems like it succeeds.
Yeah.
Together, they would be the perfect.
Together, really, it would be like the perfect weekend.
I'm very excited to see it.
Yeah.
Because here's the craziest thing when I think about it is like a lot of people think Hollywood's is better. The few people I've seen that have done it.
He worked closer too with Bernie.
Think about it. Hollywood's ranking at 3-4, or Orlando's ranking 3-4 in the event for me. So if Hollywood's is better, that means you put that in the Orlando event, and Hollywood has a top 3 house for me in Orlando.
Which is going to be interesting because this is...
And Scarecrow also exists, but that's another story.
So we're gonna... This is where I'm dropping this bombshell. Catacombs this year, we are doing a HHN USA ranking this year.
Ooh.
So all the houses are going to be going head-to-head, and I hope you guys will join us for that.
Yeah, I will.
I'm always ready to fight.
Yeah,
Let's go.
so Halloween versus Halloween, Clowns versus Descendants, Weekend versus Weekend. It's going to be good.
I'm just saying, I would not be shocked if Scarecrow
Is
is
it
the
Dead
best
Man's
house in the
versus
U.S.
Scarecrow then, or are we doing Scarecrow versus
Well, it's going to be
Scarecrow?
just
Surprised.
overall, like, what is it, 17 houses or whatever? So here's the 17.
Are you going to count Terror Tram too?
That's interesting. I'll have to figure it out.
I'm sure it'll
just
be
hope
better
people
than
don't
at
get
least
their feelings
Blumhouse.
hurt.
You could just bring in the Scare Zones too. Fuck it.
Yeah, why
Just
not?
have a supersized
Oh my
episode.
God.
Scare Zones and Terror Trap.
It'll be 7 hours.
Well, I was thinking about doing a Central Florida ranking, but then I went to SeaWorld and I was like, it's not fair for them to be all the bottom houses this year.
Well, because they didn't change the event.
The cruise ship
That's-
house is the worst fucking shit I think I've ever
It's
been
Bug
to.
House on deck. It's
No.
the Bug House Sweet
It's
Life
all-
on deck.
You guys were way too fucking nice.
We were too nice.
Blood beckoning.
We
We
were
weren't
listening
even
to Raina
invited.
and I were
Why
like-
were we so nice?
I haven't gone yet.
I was
I can't wait for
sleepy.
you to
Okay,
go.
it's not. It's not a bad event.
Except blood beckoning.
Fuck. Why are we in a fucking bookstore and then why
She's
are we
coming.
At,
She's coming. Who's coming?
like, why are we in a bookstore? Why are we
She's
in a fucking
coming.
subway car? Why is
I'm sure it's a good
Beetlejuice
thing, but
talking to
why?
me at one point? Like,
Who's
bro.
getting her there?
Bro, those tents. I can't wait to go visit those tents. I hope they're doing okay.
I haven't been yet. We're going in a couple weeks.
I'm trying not to be too mean because I hope the event makes enough money to continue to evolve.
Yeah.
But I could totally see it being like 3 years. Okay, we're done.
Did they just raise the volume of the
Yes, they
music?
did.
Right, well, like, y'all need to shut the fuck up.
But get out of here.
Talk about Universal or get out.
Yeah.
But yeah. So any like, I know we're gonna think about things, but any thoughts on the weekend before we kind of put the bow on this thing?
More music houses.
Yeah, I want to talk about that. So this is going to make me the most unpopular person. I feel like I'll have Jess on my side, maybe all of you guys, but I feel like we've had the attempted pop house with Billie Eilish. We've had the weekend actually come to fruition. You guys have ideas for where you'd like to follow that up. I will say, I think if they do decide to do a rock and metal house next year or whatever, it'll be deserved. I think it's fine for us to go back to that well.
I don't disagree with that.
I disagree.
I think it's fine to maybe alternate, make it fair, so it brings more people in too. Like, you got to keep bringing the old guys and the new people.
Yeah.
Like, we're all fans. You
I know
what
Sanjay
mean?
is going to love this, but I do think an Iron Maiden house would rock. Like,
Okay,
or a Scare Zone, like...
Yeah, I can't even... I could probably do an hour-long episode on Iron Maiden house just
Iron Maiden
because that's
house.
like that and like Judas Priest are like my dad's like 2 favorite bands growing up, and like as much as my dad and I don't have the best relationship, I know all that shit. I took my senior pictures with an Iron Maiden jacket.
I know. It's
So,
a good
like,
one.
I think that, I mean, you could even just take the monster sets and do a power.
I would love to see Power Slave
Eddie
and
would
Peace
be
of Mind
so,
and all that.
Eddie he's a mummy sometimes, whatever. Their character would be so good, but let's talk Gaga. Dakota.
You know.
Let's talk Gaga.
But would you want, for Gaga, would you want like a comprehensive? Would you want a specific album?
I think we'll only get one, so we might as well.
I think comprehensive.
Yes.
Because I think
It's the art
And
pop house.
we
I
can
would
leave
kill for
Joanne
Gaga.
over here because I love Joanne, but she has no place at this event.
Joanne doesn't really have I mean, maybe with this playlist.
Well. But no, a comprehensive start, and go to now, or even wherever we'll be.
I just think she has a lot of visuals per album that specifically teeter into horror, but it's not like every album is like she's only really done one horror album and it was an EP. But like I feel like she's always tiptoeing into horror the way The Weeknd is always tiptoeing into horror. So I think she would be really spectacular. It's not like, can you imagine like a swine room, like of swine, like pig gas masks.
That song would also just be like, just all of her music is a party. So it would be the same vibe as The Weeknd, but the imagery would be so fucking haunting.
And it's also like, just like The Weeknd, it's a party, but it's about trauma. So it's like all of it.
You could hook, you could even do like the VMA performance with the blood, and you could hook her up to it like a bloodline.
And you would have to.
And just bleed out. Oh my god. Okay. It sounds like we need to do an episode somewhere on this.
It sounds like they're blowing us out right now.
Yeah, they're literally like cranking it.
Yeah.
Listen, Universal, Gaga's UMG too.
Yeah, come on.
So just curious, would you guys be on board with a Gaga like Scare Zone? Do you think that would work as well as a house?
She needs to have like a whole ass parade building or a soundstage.
I mean, I think Rob Zombie should have had a house, except he got House of Thousand Corpses, so it's like it didn't make sense.
Yeah.
I think Hellbilly also deserved a house.
It's funny, as we said that, the Scare Zone from 2019.
The Hellbilly Scare Zone was really good.
It was a great Scare Zone.
Even if you didn't like it, it fit the event.
If Vanity hadn't been there, it would have been my favorite Scare Zone by a long shot.
Same.
I just, I got very attached to what Vanity Ball represented to me.
Us? Never.
So I'll be the lone man out here then.
ICP.
Where I do not believe that this necessarily means that we need music houses more.
Oh, not every year.
I don't think it needs to be every year.
I actually think there's something to be said. We might not see a music house
I don't
for a
think
while.
we need them, period.
Oh, okay.
Like, I don't think it's bad and that we can never have them or anything. But I feel like having this one successful house doesn't mean there's suddenly like, oh yeah, music houses work, great, let's do them.
No, it needs to be like every now and then.
Yeah, like I like
just like
the
Halloween
idea.
needs to be every now and then, not every 2 years.
Do you think if we got Eilish, we would still have got The Weeknd?
Yeah, why not?
I think so.
Do you think it would have been 30 and then 30?
I think there would have been less of an argument to bring The Weeknd. Because Eilish was I think she was gonna kill it. I'm sorry.
I think it would have been.
My bias is strong. But
Marty said this deal has been in place with him since last year. I think there was a strong case that this could have, had it gone together faster, it would have probably been in case files instead.
Yeah.
But I just think it needed more time to develop.
Which is interesting because now it's hard to imagine this Weeknd house in the Shrek building. I feel like a parade building's the only place it could have gone.
Yeah.
For like the scale that they decide to go with.
Yeah. Not that like any of the sets are too big.
I feel like they could have kept it a tad more
I feel like you wouldn't have gotten the subway
say.
scare.
No.
I think you could have.
I think you could have. Just probably wouldn't have been a Stillwalker.
That's what I mean.
It just would have been on a platform, but it's not like we've seen the Stillwalker forever.
Literally.
So I think it probably could. I don't know. I think at the end of the day, I think more music houses are coming.
Yeah.
But it's just dependent on what that's going to be. I think it's unrealistic for people to be like, it needs to be fucking Ice Nine Kills or some like other small band that
You had the best point about that, and it's
like,
the argument I've
huge.
also had.
Yeah.
All of
not
their shit is
original
horror
concept?
movies. You can't do it.
Yeah.
They don't have original.
Yes, you could play their music in the park.
Their makeup artist is fantastic. I will never take that away. The imagery is great, but it's all imagery we know. That's why
I
we
love
like
Ice
them.
Nine Kills. I'm just saying, like I think people get very short-sighted with what they picture a music house needs to be, and it's like, no, you need to understand The Weeknd is one of the biggest artists in the world right now. That is why he was picked for the event.
He did WrestleMania, the WrestleMania theme 2 years in a row. Nobody's ever done that in the 37 years of WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Ever had back-to-back. He did Tampa and Dallas.
Well, Papa just did the opening pitch at the White Sox.
I was gonna say Ghost is like
I think
fucking
Ghost
massive.
is the next.
Could do it.
Ghost is probably the next one.
And their lore is deep. I'm learning about it on TikTok, and I think I'm becoming a Ghost fan.
The only reason I wouldn't want them to do Ghost is that they decide to back off of the religious imagery.
Yeah.
Because
That's fair. They won't.
Because
they
won't touch it anymore.
I mean, look at the Fallen.
Hollywood will.
I think that's why
That's fair.
Marilyn Schmanson never happened before the controversy.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, Alice Cooper was.
Alice Cooper
But he's always kind of like the light version.
Yeah,
He won't go that far.
He never really went to like the ripping of Bibles and
No.
stuff, you know?
He's a good Christian man who loves golf.
He's a Mensa.
Yeah.
My mom loves that fact. She will always. Alice Cooper is a Mensa.
There's a reason we have that minch of a man delivering hot sauce on our episode, which will be coming up soon. But yeah, all right, we're hitting the 40-minute mark. I think we've said everything we need to say about the Weeknd and music houses. But we want to thank you all for joining us for another episode of Stay Screamcast, featuring the HHN 31 music loop and a little bit of Toto. So I've been Hunter. I've been joined by Duff, Jess, and Dakota. And Dakota, because you are our guest, where can people keep up with you this Halloween season?
It's at Cathode Coaster on like everything. I do a YouTube series where we talk about Halloween Horror Nights, and I'm very active on Twitter, so just you know, Halloween Horror Nights and shit. Yeah.
Perfect. All right, folks. Well, as you know the deal, or you should know the deal by now, this episode is going up on the HHN 365 feed. Check back next week. God forbid any sickness on the Catacombs feed next week, and then we'll catch you next time. Until then, just remember this very important little fact. Jack's going to eat your ass. Until next time, folks.